I'm going to jump in this tomorrow, and I'm telling you, folks, right there, how white folks got so rich. The untold story of American white supremacy. I mean, I just read about the Indian land grab, and I'm like, my gosh, man, good Lord. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth. Because that means we've got to look people in the face and say, our forefathers were the worst people in the history of mankind. The things that they did, that manifest destiny, that kind of mentality has been atrocious. What we have done to the African Americans. The estimated number of wealth that came from slavery, from free labor, and that's what it was. And they estimate that the amount of money that came from slavery was around $24 trillion. You can't even grasp that much money. The average person has a hard time grasping what $1 billion is. $1 trillion. Holy shit. And a lot of people don't want to admit the truth, because a lot of people also are scared that what happens if we actually do have to maybe pay reparations. Understand that everything, that beautiful Capitol in Washington, D.C. was built by slave labor. The majority of the churches in this country were built by slave labor. Our forefathers were lazy. And if they were smart, which they were, but the problem was that they were cunning and sad.
Psalms 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Shalom Akim. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai, B'Hashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 1/3 of Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. So as you just seen in that video of that Edomite who fittingly was wearing red, right, and had an eagle figurine in the background. I don't know if you spotted that or not, but he basically spilled the beans, right? He said the quiet part out loud, right? Which basically these Edomites do everything that they can to not admit, right? And why is it? Right? Why did he reveal this? Well, because let's read this. This is Obadiah 1:10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So in this scripture here, this is the Most High Father, who the world ignorantly calls Jehovah, whose true Hebrew name is Yahweh, which is Hebrew for He is, right? This is the love letter he wrote to the Edomite nation, right? The so-called Caucasian race. Because again, the nation of the Caucasian nation, right? Their true biblical name is the nation of Edom, right? They are Edomites, right? They are the people prophesied in the Bible to rule the world in wickedness and in total subjection under the sword. Okay? Now, what it tells you here, it says, for thy brother Jacob. This is the Lord telling Esau that he has been violent to his brother Jacob. Jacob being Israel, right? Or the Israelites. Okay, so when it says Jacob here, it's referring to the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline. Okay, so the Lord is telling these Edomites that because of their violence, what they have done to their brethren, that they shall be covered in shame, right? And that man, he is a prime example of that, right? Of this prophecy right here. He is covered in shame for what him and his people have done, right? He first said the Native American Indians, and then out of nowhere, he blurred out the African Americans, right? And again, if you've been in this truth, you've been following these lessons, you understand that the Native Americans are the tribe of Gad, and the African Americans would be the tribe of Judah, right? Or the Southern Kingdom, and the Native American Indians would be the Northern Kingdom, right? Now, so you see, that man, that Edomite, he revealed a lot of truths, which his people do everything they can to deny, to talk down on, and basically make it of no importance, right? But he said it straight out, right? $24 trillion is what these devils were able to squeeze out of the free labor that they got, right? And that is at least here in America, right? Because you know that number doesn't cover with the European Edomites, right? The Spanish, the German, the Dutch, and all these other Edomites who came to the South America and enslaved the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latinos, okay? Because again, remember, that was taking place about 100 years prior to the North Atlantic slave trade, right? But again, right, it's too deep for a lot of people, for even these Edomites to understand that they themselves, that, you know, though it was a different nation that enslaved the Latinos, it was still the same race of people, right? The same group, the same family, the Edomites who had did this. Now, of course, these devils always had other nations helping them, just like today, where you have, in America, you have all these other nations here in America basically getting rich off the backs of the Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans, right? By having their stores in our neighborhoods, by, you know, helping Esau in his world, New World Order. So it was the same back then as it is now, okay? But let's go and read this. This 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right? We already went through the great falling away, right? The great falling away basically was when the Negro, Latino, Native Americans forgot that we were the Israelites, right? We went into captivity. We were scattered into the four corners of the earth, and we were eventually conquered, right? 144, we were conquered by these other nations, okay? And in our captivity, we were treated in such a bad way that they took everything from us, including our identity, our ancestral history, things that we had recorded. Now, yes, from looking into the records, for example, on the Latinos, when you look into the Aztec codices, the 24 that still remain that weren't burned up, right? The freaking thousands of codices that we had, right? The 24 that remain, or at least that we're told that remain, we are still able to get a glimpse of what the Latinos were doing, worshiping, right? What our customs were, and it was basically a shadow of what we had been doing in the nation in the land of Israel, right? Now, yes, it was distorted, but when you look through the, you know, the rituals and everything, it is very plain to see that we were the Israelites who had came over here around 700 BC. Okay, now same thing with the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negroes, right? They had, when you look at the slave ship logs, it's pretty much all the Western African so-called Negroes that they picked up pretty much all had biblical names. Okay, Moses, Joshua, Samuel, all these type of names, all these Hebrew names, right? They also wrote in Hebrew in the first Baptist African church in America. On the pews, you could see etched, carved into the pews, Hebrew writing, right? In the songs, in the labor songs, what they were called Negro spirituals, you have references to the chariots of the Lord, to things that only the Israelites would identify with. So it is very plain to see who we were back then, but only for those who were educated, that is, right? To the vast majority of the world who were uneducated or didn't care, and these Edomites definitely had no understanding of God, no real understanding, that is. They never considered it. But again, that was ultimately God's plan, right? That's why today, as it tells you, in those days, knowledge shall be increased, right? And why is knowledge increased in these last days? Well, because this whole truth, as Apostle Gabar says, this truth of ours, it is high level truth, right? So people who are stuck in this world, who can't understand what's going on, like it tells you, knowledge is too high for a fool, right? Well, this information, to have an inkling, an understanding of just the tip of it, you have to have a certain level of knowledge, right? A certain, discernment in your mind to be able to discern what is going on, right? And that's why the Lord is opening up not only the Israelites' mind, but the rest of the world's mind, right? And because of this, the scripture right here, because the son of perdition has to be revealed, right? The great falling away has happened, right? To the point where now those who have fallen away, we're now remembering ourselves in the land of our captivity, which is another prophecy that would come to pass. That is coming to pass now, I should say, right? And now what's happening, right? By their own tongues, as it was prophesied, the Lord is making these devils reveal themselves, making them, basically tell on themselves, spill the beans, okay? And he has permitted these devils to create the internet, right? He has put it in their minds to pursue that type of technology, so that way the rest of the world can be educated, can be given knowledge, can be given this information, and that way they could put, one and one together and to see that who the son of perdition truly is. And that's what's happening right now. That's why this is all taking place. This is why you're hearing about these pedophile priests getting caught trying to meet up with 15 and 16-year-old boys. This is why you're hearing about all these political, economic, environmental scandals that are being revealed by whistleblowers, right? Because again, this is all prophecy playing out, right? And what that man just revealed, man, $24 trillion plus everything that they've done is one of the reasons why they did it, right? Money, what does the scripture say? For the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And these devils, man, these devils who enslaved us, who basically have the whole world in subjection, why are they doing this? They're doing it for the love of money. The majority of them, that is. Because there are some at the very top, right? Who is it? Somebody had made, was it Milton? Not Milton Freeman, but Salaki, I forget who made this quote, but they said that once you have enough money, look at this fuck, Salaki Akim, I'm driving on the freeway and you got some crazy ass people, man, driving on the shoulder and everything. well, Salaki for digressing. Like I said, man, there's a famous quote saying that once you're rich enough, you no longer care about money, but you care about power, right? And that right there is referring to the top Edomites of the world, right? The people who rule the world right now, right? These top bankers, the top globalists, people that you don't even hear about, the people who Carl Schwab basically report to, right? The people who the Queen, the royal family in England report to, the people who the top bankers report to, right? These are those elites, those 1% of the 1%ers, the kings of Edom, right? That rule the world, right? And they're doing this because, one, they're fulfilling their lot, right? They're fulfilling their God's request, right? Because again, the so-called Caucasian race, the Edomites, they are the physical counterpart. They are of the devil, right? The Satan, right? Like Apostle Gabar brought out yesterday that Planet of the Apes clip, man, about the 29th scroll, 6th verse, right? Talking about beware of the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. And that's exactly what these Edomites are. These Caucasians are the Satan's pawn, right? And through them is channeled all wickedness, right? And that right now is what's being revealed. This is Nahum 3 and 5. Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh Bashim El Shai of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And that's why the Lord is ultimately doing this to these Edomites, man, right? Yes, nations have risen and fallen and have been given their lot, but the lot of these Edomites is a peculiar one. It is one of no mercy, right? It is one of a great blessing, but also one that offers no mercy. It tells you in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary that the nation of Edom is the only neighbor of the Israelites which was not given any promise of mercy, right? And why is that? Well, because you see, the nation of Edom, is the pawn of Satan. Okay, they are the offscouring. They are the wickedness of humanity, and the Lord ultimately is purging that out. Okay, because you see, what is happening on the grand scale is that the Lord is preparing humanity, right, for an introduction into the universe, right, to become that spacefaring world, that civilization, right, to be able to go into the heavens and be one as the angels, right, to be God's, within the universe, right? And he's going to do that through his chosen people, the nation of Israel. But again, to do that, to create these people, or to create us in that perfect state, what happens is that the Lord has put us through certain trials, right? Certain filtering. And that filtering happens through, selective breeding, through, historical events that we've lived through, right? Or the Lord chooses one brother over another, one family over another, and so forth, until the very end product that you have is what you would know today as the Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. And out of that group, only the most righteous of that group, right? That being the 1/3, the elect, and the 144,000 that will be chosen to restart those, the nation of Israel. Okay, that is what's going on right now, man. And to do that, the Lord has to purge the human genome from the nation of the nation of Edom, of wickedness, right? What does it say in the scriptures? That all wickedness shall be put out, right? Well, what is that talking about? Well, that is talking about the nation of Edom going extinct by the hands of the Lord through the actions of the Israelites. Okay, that's what that's talking about. Let me get just one more scripture, because again, ultimately, man, people always talk about, that this is unfair to the Edomites. Well, that's a point of, perspective. Because again, you got to remember, man, the Lord destroys in righteousness, right? The Lord gave these devils a chance to rule, a chance to show good leadership, a chance to be merciful. But what do? They've taken the world and they destroyed everything. They've taken their chance, and not only did they, live corruptly upon the earth, but they slew and destroyed all those people and all those things that stood in their way. So that way they could get more profits. They could get more for them and less for us, right? And this is ultimately a blessing that was given to them. This is Genesis 27 and 39 talking about the blessing which Isaac, our forefather, gave to our brother Esau, the progenitor of the so-called Caucasian race, right? It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that's what happened, right? See, this is the blessing. This is why these devils have been put into this position of power upon all the face of the earth, right? Yes, people are trying to say that, oh, well, the so-called white person doesn't, run the world. Really, man? If you really believe that, then you're just not paying attention, right? These devils rule everything, right? This is why you have Iran right now pushing that digital ID to get freaking bread, okay? You see, they like to pretend that these Edomites don't control everything, right? But they do. They're the bankers. They're the people who make the money. They rule the earth with its resources, right? Yes, Iran may be at war with Israel and America, right? Or not war, but at odds, right? They're sworn enemies, whatever. But they're definitely friends with Tim Schwab and all these other bankers and people who are providing them with loans and money and weapons from other Caucasian nations, right? See, that's the thing about these Edomites, man. They're everywhere, right? And they're even in all these other nations as a terror, right? Because again, you're gonna have a lot of people who don't look so-called white people. They're gonna look like Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Chinese, Japanese, Arabs, but are gonna be found out to be of the nation of Edom. Their father's lineage is going to go back to a so-called Caucasian race, right? Making them the Edomites, right? But that's why the Lord, like it says, man, the Lord is against these devils, and that's why he is ultimately revealing them and showing who they are to the world, showing the world that these are the devils, these are the sons of perdition that are upon the face of the earth. And once they are made, their identity is made clear, then their cover is going to be blown, right? The cover is going to be blown, and their plans will fall apart, as prophesied in the Bible. So hopefully this video was edifying, Aki. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rakal Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.